Hi everyone, it's Jill from Jilly Bean Studio. I hope you're well, and if you have some time today, I would love if you journal with me. I am choosing and prepping a book to do some book page art in an altered book junk journal. So I hope you grab whatever supplies you have, a journal, and can journal a little bit today too. So this is a project I am starting from an old thrift store book, and I think one tip is pick a book that you are really gonna love. And I decided on this particular book because it's gonna be a commitment, I think, I don't know, at least for a couple months. And this book is about 8 inches. I think it's maybe 8 or 8 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I love the size, so that's why I picked this one. It's also not too long. It's, I think, just over 150 pages. And I'm using a Hinge method today. I'm gonna link, I was inspired by Liz, the Paper Project, did a greeting card junk journal, and hers was a little bit different. She hinged, I think, almost all of the pages, but she, and then it's really sweet. She stuck in greeting cards. I think what I'm gonna do is tweak it a bit, and for my journal needs, I'm gonna hinge 2 pages and then keep 2 pages. So what I'm showing you there is I want to do a lot more drawing and book page art in this junk journal. And then I am keeping 2 book pages and then ripping out 2 to make a hinge. And then in that hinge, I'm going to insert a variety of papers. So here we go. A few tips about picking your papers. I love that this page. I have to tell you, that's from a color studio book from years ago. I think the artist is Doreen Castle. I love that image. Anyway, I think the papers that you pick are important. You don't want to go too thick because I'm not removing a lot of pages, obviously full pages from this book, only partial pages. So this cardstock that I have already in, I think I've done about, I don't know, more than half of the book already. And I'll take you along and show you exactly how to do this in the next couple pages or two. But anyway, I would think of using thinner paper simply because you're not removing whole pages. All right, so the hinge method that I'm going to use is taking my metal ruler. I've already done this one, and I'll take you through the whole process in a little bit, and then putting the paper in between the hinges. And I'm, just like for Junk Journal January, I feel like I'm hinging and measuring simply by using a ruler to rip the pages. I don't know if scissors are even needed in this project. So a few, I think, simple supplies. And again, a lot of these papers, I want to go thinner, but this particular one I really loved. It's cardstock. I think it's from a Tim Holtz pack. A lot of the papers I'm using in this project are leftover from other projects, and I'm not sure which packs they've come from, but I'm pretty sure they are. All right, but that's probably, I would recommend going as thick as scrapbook paper, and maybe not as many of those in your altered book junk journal, and leaning into more of the thinner pages, I think. Okay, and then for gluing, I'm just backing the hinge so that, knowing me, I would get glue on all of the book pages and back. So give yourself a little bit of something to catch your glue. There it is. So that's the back part of the hinge. And then same exact thing for for the front part, and your new page is in. So how are you doing? How is February journaling going for you? Are you working in a new junk journal? I thought after junk journal January, I'd give myself a couple weeks to think about what the next junk journal would be. And I've been working in my Hobonichi, my weekly pages that I do there. So for me, I love having a couple journals going, and it took me a little while to think about what was the next one. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that's another tip, is experimenting for me is high on my journaling list. It's part of my journal process, is to play a lot. And so this next one I'm really excited about, and I think trying a couple styles of journal is always something that's worked well for me, and it's an idea for you if you're new to journaling. I think it's a good idea to just plunge in, see what works for you. Okay, so now I'm working on a thinner page. This is graph paper from an office supply store. And gonna, again, hinge in between. Now, I did see the, I think it was, again, Liz, the Paper Project, the way she was doing hinges was quite different. She was hinging almost the whole book, but I also think she was not necessarily hinging all of her pages in between like I'm doing, but also over the top of the hinge. In other words, taking the sheet of paper, folding it over, and covering the hinge. I did that on the very first page, but then I thought I would bulk this book up too much. And one of the things I'm trying to do is actually a little more flat journaling. Now for me, that's going to be a challenge because I always bulk my journals up. So a little later in this video, I'm going to brainstorm a list of ideas of what I think I might put in this journal for book page art and keep it a little more flat. So here are some of the pages already in. I like that. I think that's going to work. And now I've counted 2, and I'm double checking that I have just 2 before I rip. And the hinge itself is the width of the ruler, which I think is about 1 inch itself. And now I am considering the over the top of the hinge, covering it with this calendar page, figuring out if that would work. But as I go through this process, I landed in exactly what I just said earlier. I think it's going to bulk up the journal too much, so I decided against that. So play around, see what works. And there's a close-up of what the hinge looks like from the top. I'm also considering putting botanicals on the front. Not sure what I'm going to do with the cover yet. So next I'm going to move on to the book page art, is what I'm calling it. And I'm going to gather some supplies that, again, oops, sorry, I always hit my little plant there. Some supplies that I think won't bulk up the pages, but will be really fun to work on the actual text pages. Some of the things I think I'll work with are acrylic paints. I think I'm going to do that instead of watercolor this time, because book pages, I think you have to be gentle with watercolor. I don't know. I think it's a better plan to at least try the acrylics this time around. And then a lot of the inks, like the Distress Oxides. So in this simple list of ideas I'm generating that I can go back to when I open my journal across the next weeks, I'll have an idea list to think about, well, what is it that I want to journal today, and how do I want to do it? So I have Doodle Illustrate. I want to do more with botanicals, stenciling, collage, maybe some more hand lettering. And because this has text, I love doing found poetry or blackout poetry. And oh yeah, I do not know how to spell silhouette at all. I have to go spell check that. And maybe little paintings. I'm not sure if they'll be botanical or... I find this helpful to just get my ideas on paper. And I might not do all of these, but at least I have something on those days where I'm not sure what to do to look back on. So cutouts and who knows, maybe a small landscape. So I hope you're enjoying your journaling in February, whatever kind of journaling that is. I'd love for you to come along if you want to do an altered book. Oh yeah, there we go. Silhouette, spell check. Here are some of the papers. I'm going to use washi tape and my microns. There's a bit of a closer look at the Hinge. And some book page art ideas. I hope some of these ideas might inspire you too. And thank you to all subscribers. I really appreciate you. And thank you so much for watching.